Your bedtime story tonight is from Mrs Start Mrs Vasku, Ruby and Suzy, and we are reading The Christmasaurus and the Night Before Christmas.
Twas the night before.
Oh my goodness.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and at the North Pole, the festive excitement was out of control. The elves were all wrapping the last of the toys that Santa would soon give to good girls and boys.
Outside on the ice, there were snow people skating, and Christmas tree fairies were all decorating. And out of the kitchen arose such a smell of candy canes, cookies and mince pies as well.
Each creature had something important to do, except Christmasaurus, who sat looking blue. He could fly, he could roar. No one did things like he did. So why, on this night, was he not feeling needed? Of course he'd help Santa by pulling the sleigh, but the rest of the time, was he just in the way?
He thought hard and scratched at this scaly blue head. Perhaps I could try wrapping presents instead. So he wrapped up a bike with a bow just for fun. Then he looked for an elf to show what he had done. But the paper had wound round his tail as well. A ribbon looped through his leg, so he tripped and he fell.
He went down with a bump and a thump and a crash, and all his hard work was undone in a flash. Don't worry, it's hard to wrap gifts with a claw, said the elves, as they untied the sad dinosaur. But maybe there's some other way you can pitch in. Perhaps there's a job you can do in the kitchen.
The dinosaur started to bake gingerbread, a fresh tasty treat for the long night ahead. He melted some sugar, then syrup and butter. The smell on its own set his heart all aflutter. He stirred in the flour and added an egg, and after the ginger, a pinch of nutmeg. Then it went in a sprout with some gravy and turkey, which turned the dough yucky and lumpy and murky. He rolled it and cut out some gingerbread men, and finally baked them and iced them, and then
the elves all dashed in. Not a moment was wasted, with freshly baked gingerbread there to be tasted. They grabbed the strange biscuits and each took a bite, but soon realised that they didn't taste right. Ugh! Is that gravy and turkey and sprout? They tasted so bad that the elves spat them out. Christmasaurus, this recipe is all in a muddle, said the elves as they gathered around in a huddle. You can't wrap up gifts and your cooking's not great, but outside there's a tree you can help decorate.
Christmasaurus ran straight to a tall Christmas tree, and he thought, I can do this, how hard can it be? He began decorating and started off fine, hanging baubles and tinsel on branches of pine. But what happened next would make some people say that perhaps Christmasaurus got carried away. He thought he'd found stockings all stuffed in a box, but these smelly stockings were Santa's old socks. He dived in head first and he snooped up a clawful, then hung them all up, and the tree looked awful.
Old socks on a tree? Well, that just won't do. Perhaps, Christmasaurus, it's better if you just sit over there so you're not in the way, and we'll get things ready before Christmas Day. Christmasaurus felt sad and curled up into a ball. What if he really was no use at all? He'd been tangled in ribbon and wrapping and tape and tied himself up till he couldn't escape. He'd baked yucky biscuits that nobody ate and discovered that dinosaurs can't decorate. So with nothing to do and no place to go, he lay all alone and it started to snow. It landed and settled on every blue scale, from the top of his head to the tip of his tail. He wondered perhaps that if nobody found him, would Christmas still come? Could it happen without him?
And while Christmasaurus hid under the snow, the reindeer were harnessed and ready to go. Then a magical jolly old fellow appeared. It was Santa, with bright eyes and bushy white beard. He walked to the sleigh, then stopped in his tracks. "I'm hungry," he said. "Let's feast on some snacks."
And the elves could do nothing but watch Santa bite on a gingerbread biscuit from earlier that night. Though it wasn't a flavour he'd tasted before, Santa blasted, "I like it! Are there any more?" And while he enjoyed this unusual treat, he saw things on the tree that were once on his feet. "Do my glasses need polishing, or can I see my smelly old socks dangling down from that tree?"
And so with a laugh that could cause avalanches, Santa admired the sock-covered branches. With woolly warm stockings in Christmassy colours, the special tree really stood out from the others. Meanwhile, the elves loaded socks full of toys in the back of the sleigh for the good girls and boys. But one toy looked different and caught Santa's eye, and when he looked closer, he understood why. Hello. Hello, that's a book, yes.
It wasn't wrapped neatly or taped like the rest, but this bow, said Santa, is simply the best. So the elves set to work and they made it a game to tie all the others exactly the same. And while they were retying bow after bow, Santa sat down and cried out, "Do you know?"
There's only one creature who the bows like these, makes biscuits like those, and hangs socks on trees. It wasn't the elves, or the reindeer, or me, so where could that magical dinosaur be? Christmasaurus knew that they had not been forgotten, and burst from the snow underneath Santa's bottom.
"Christmasaurus," cheered Santa, "thank jingles you're here. Are you ready to fly? Christmas Day's getting near. You might not bake biscuits or rap like an elf, but Christmas still needs you. Just be yourself." Christmasaurus felt happy he'd help them prepare, and Christmas was better because he was there. Santa sprang to his sleigh and he whistled a tune.
Jingle bells rung where they landed on rooftops, or Santa sang to the thudding of hoof claps. And as Christmasaurus was leading the flight, he roared "Merry Christmas" and soared through the night.
And so every year when it gets to December, there's one special thing that we should all remember. Whoever you are and whatever you do, Christmas would not be the same without you. We wish you all a lovely Christmas.
We hope you enjoyed our story and our Christmasaurus impersonators. Yes, have a lovely Christmas.
Bye.
Bye.